You ever feel like you're trapped in your own business? Like no matter how hard you work, there's always one more thing to do, one more shift to cover, one more crisis to handle. You started this business for freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, but somehow you're busier than ever. It's a cycle. You can't take a break because everything depends on you, but the pressure builds up, not just at work, but at home too. You're mentally drained, and instead of your business growing and thriving, it's stalled. Sound familiar? I've been there. I've run a coffee shop for 10 years, and there was a time when I was working all hours, constantly putting out fires and struggling to keep things moving. But what I realized was this: it wasn't sustainable. The stress was bleeding into my personal life, and worse, it was stunting the growth of the business. Let's talk about why that happens, and more importantly, how to change it. Many of us go into business because we want freedom, but what often happens is the opposite. We get stuck in the daily grind, quite literally, putting in more hours than we ever did working for someone else. It becomes hard to delegate because you feel like no one else can do things as well as you can. You're always the one solving problems, running shifts, managing staff, and here's the hard truth: if you're constantly working in the business, you're not working on it. Think about it. When you're buried in daily operations, who's planning the future of the business? Who's thinking strategically about growth, profitability, new opportunities? No one. You're stuck in the day-to-day, and as a result, the business isn't moving forward. I know what that feels like. It's frustrating because you care so much, but the harder you work, the more overwhelmed you feel, or it starts affecting your energy, your mood, even your family. I've seen business owners who've reached the breaking point. They're burnt out, and their personal relationships are strained because the business consumes everything. This is the reality for so many coffee shop owners, and it's not talked about enough. But here's the thing: there is a way out of this cycle. Let's talk about delegation. For most business owners, the idea of delegating tasks is terrifying. We think, what if the staff don't do the right thing? What if things go wrong? So we hold on tighter, micromanage, and do it all ourselves. But in reality, the cost of not delegating is far greater than the risk of letting go. If you don't delegate, you'll always be the bottleneck. You're the one making every decision, and that slows everything down. Your team doesn't develop because they're not empowered to make decisions on their own. And most importantly, you never get the freedom you went into business for in the first place. Delegating doesn't mean stepping away completely. It means building the right systems and processes so that your business runs like a well-oiled machine, even when you're not there. This is where systems come in. I've learned that the key to freeing yourself from the daily grind is to create clear, repeatable processes for everything, from stock management to staff training, customer service to financial tracking. When you have systems in place, you don't need to be there for every little decision. Your team knows exactly what needs to be done and how to do it. For example, in my coffee shop, we systemized everything. We set up an automatic stock replenishment so we never had to worry about running out of supplies. We trained staff to handle key tasks like opening and closing, handling complaints, and upselling to customers. And we created management layers so I didn't have to be the one solving every single problem. The result, I was able to take a step back. In fact, I moved abroad for 6 months, and the business kept running smoothly and profitably without me. That's the kind of freedom I'm talking about. It's not about abandoning your business. It's about building something that doesn't collapse when you're not there. Now, systems are important, but let's not forget about the people behind the systems, your staff. Hiring correctly and managing your team well are crucial. When your staff are trained, empowered, and motivated, they will step up and take responsibility for the business. And one of the best ways to keep your staff engaged is by setting targets and rewarding them. When those targets are met, when your team has clear goals and incentives, whether it's bonuses, extra time off, or even simple recognition, they become more invested in the success of the business. This isn't about just financial incentives either. Staff need to feel valued and appreciated. When they do, they'll work harder. They'll take initiative and become problem solvers, not just employees who wait for instructions. By freeing yourself from the day-to-day and empowering your team, you're not just improving your own quality of life, you're also setting your business up for long-term growth. When you step back and take a more strategic role, you can focus on things like expanding, improving profitability, and innovating. But none of this can happen if you're constantly stuck in the weeds. The longer you wait to implement these changes, the more time and energy you're wasting. The business can't grow. It will not grow if you're always in survival mode. So here's my challenge to you. Take a step back and look at your business. Where are you stuck in the day-to-day? What tasks could you delegate? What systems can you put in place to free up your time? Remember, the goal of running a business isn't to work yourself into the ground. It's to create something that gives you freedom of time, freedom of choice, and financial freedom. And if you want to get there, it's time to start thinking differently. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing how your business transforms. Let's be real. Finding the right staff for your coffee shop can feel like finding a needle in a haystack. You want someone with experience who knows the ins and outs of a cafe. But here's the truth. Hiring correctly doesn't always mean hiring someone who's been in the industry for years. In fact, sometimes the best people to hire are the ones who might not have a ton of experience, but they have something even more valuable: an eagerness to learn, a passion for growth, and a personality that fits the culture of your cafe. I've hired a lot of people over the years, and what I've learned is that technical skills can be taught. What you can't teach is the right attitude, a willingness to learn, and strong customer service skills. Let's dive into how hiring correctly goes beyond just experience. It's easy to get caught up in looking for someone with a perfect CV, someone who's worked in cafes for years, who can pull the perfect shot of espresso in their sleep. But here's the reality. Someone can have all the experience in the world and still not be the right fit for your team. Hiring correctly means looking at more than just technical skills. It's about finding people who are passionate, who want to learn, and who will bring positive energy to the business. You can teach someone how to be a great barista, but you can't teach them how to care about customer service, how to be a team player, or how to take pride in their work. For example, I've hired staff who came with zero barista experience but had a great attitude, a deep desire to improve, and a love for coffee. Within months, they became some of my best employees because they were eager to learn and cared about doing things right. In the coffee business, personality and customer service skills are just as important, if not more important, than technical skills. Your cafe's success depends on the experience your customers have, and that experience is shaped by how they're treated. You want staff who are warm, friendly, and approachable. Even if they're still learning how to make the perfect flat white, if they can greet customers with a smile, engage in small talk, and make people feel welcome, you've got a winner. You want staff who are warm, friendly, and approachable, as I've said. I've seen it time and time again. Customers are far more forgiving of a barista who's still learning the ropes if that barista makes them feel valued and appreciated. On the flip side, I've had technically gifted and skilled baristas who knew everything about coffee but lacked that personal touch, and it made all the difference. This brings me to one of the most important points about hiring: building a well-balanced team. Not every person you hire needs to be an expert in every area. In fact, what you want is a team where each person's strengths complements the others. For example, you might hire someone who's exceptional at the barista role. They can make a perfect pour over, they know the science of extraction, and they have a deep knowledge of coffee, but they might not be the most outgoing when it comes to interacting with customers. That's okay, as long as you balance them with someone who excels at customer service, a vibrant, well-mannered person who thrives on engaging with customers. This balance is key to creating a smooth, efficient operation. Not everyone needs to be great at everything, but together they should cover all the bases. Now, let's talk about one of the most critical roles in a cafe: the manager. A good manager is the glue that holds your team together. They're responsible for not only ensuring that daily operations run smoothly, but also for nurturing and developing the staff. A strong manager understands the importance of balancing the team's skills and personalities. They know how to delegate tasks effectively, ensuring that the right person is doing the right job. They also play a key role in motivating staff, keeping morale high, and setting the tone for customer service. In my experience, the manager is the most important person in the makeup of a great team. When you have a manager who can lead by example, who cares about the business and the staff, it creates a ripple effect throughout the entire team. They set the standard for work ethic, attitude, and customer service, which everyone else follows. This is why hiring the right manager is absolutely crucial. You want someone who not only has the necessary skills, but also the ability to inspire and bring out the best in the team. Once you've hired the right people, the next step is training them for independence. Yes, independence. One of the biggest mistakes business owners make is not investing enough time in training, or worse, doing it all themselves because they don't trust the staff to do things correctly. The truth is, if you've hired people with the right attitude and personality, you can absolutely train them to do things the way you want them to be done. The key is having clear and structured training programs in place. Make sure every new hire understands not just the technical aspects of the job, but also the standards for customer service and teamwork. One of the things I implemented early on was a standard operating procedure, SOP manual. It's a detailed guide on how we do things, from opening and closing duties to how to handle customer complaints. It ensures that everyone is on the same page and can handle the day-to-day without constantly needing your input. When staff are properly trained and have clear guidelines to follow, they are empowered to take ownership of their roles. They can make decisions on their own, which frees you up to focus on growing the business instead of micromanaging. Lastly, let's talk about incentives. Hiring correctly and training well is important, but you also need to keep your team motivated. This is where setting targets and rewarding your staff comes into play. When staff have clear goals to work towards and know that there's something in it for them, they're more likely to stay engaged and perform at a high level. This doesn't always have to be about money. It could be extra time off, recognition in front of other team members, or even small rewards like a free meal or coffee. The key is to make sure they feel valued. When staff know they're appreciated and that their hard work is recognized, they are more likely to take ownership of their roles, step up, and contribute to the overall success of the business. To wrap things up, remember this: hiring correctly is the foundation of creating a business that can run without you being involved every single task. By focusing on attitude over experience, prioritizing customer service, building a well-balanced team, and training your staff for independence, you're setting your cafe up for long-term success. And don't forget, the manager you hire plays a pivotal role in holding everything together. With the right people in place, you'll have the freedom to step back, focus on strategy, and grow your business. And most importantly, you'll have a business that can run smoothly whether you're there or not. Thanks for listening, and I hope this module has given you some valuable insights on how to hire and build a team that works for you. The importance of systemizing operations. Let's talk about the backbone of a successful cafe, your systems and processes. As a business owner, your goal should be to create an operation that runs smoothly, even when you're not there. And the key to that, systemizing everything. Without clear, reliable systems in place, you're going to be stuck putting out fires all day, dealing with last-minute staff absences, running out of stock, or scrambling to track down who's clocked in and out. It's draining, it's stressful, and ultimately, it's unsustainable. In this module, I'm going to walk you through how to systemize your operations, from internal communication to managing inventory and tracking staff hours. By the end, you'll have the tools to create a well-oiled machine that frees up your time and keeps your business running like clockwork. Let's start with internal communication. One of the simplest but most effective systems you can implement is a communication platform that keeps your team connected. In my experience, something as simple as a WhatsApp group can be a game changer. A WhatsApp group allows staff to communicate with each other in real time. For example, if someone wakes up sick and can't make it to their shift, they can immediately let the team know. It also allows other team members to jump up in and cover shifts without you having to micromanage the process. It's quick, it's easy, and helps avoid any last-minute chaos. Another great way to streamline communication is by setting up a staff email. This can be used for more formal communication, such as when orders need to be adjusted or when staff need to contact suppliers directly. Having a designated email for these tasks keeps things organized and ensures that nothing slips through the cracks. Now, let's talk about inventory management. Running out of stock or over-ordering is one of the quickest ways to lose money and frustrate your staff and customers. This is where digital platforms come into play. In the UK, one of the best tools for managing inventory is a platform called Lightspeed. It's a cloud-based system that allows you to track your stock levels in real time, set up automatic reorders, and even generate reports on what's selling and what's not. Both your manager and staff can have access to this platform, making it easy to see what needs restocking and when. This eliminates the guesswork from inventory management. Your staff won't need to come to you asking, do we need more coffee beans? Or are we low on takeaway cups? They can see it for themselves and take action. It's a great way to empower your team and keep your cafe running smoothly without constant oversight. One of the biggest time sucks for cafe owners is managing staff schedules and tracking their hours. If you're still relying on paper timesheets or spreadsheets, it's time to upgrade. I personally introduced a software called SumUp as my point of sale, and it made a huge difference. Not only does SumUp handle payments, but it also tracks when staff clock in and out. This allows you to easily monitor their working hours, which means calculating their wages is no longer a hassle. Everything is recorded in one place. If you're looking for an alternative, Square is another excellent option. It's widely used in the UK and offers similar features, including staff management, time tracking, and even integration with payroll systems. These tools save you from manually tracking staff hours and give you an easy, automated way to ensure your staff are paid accurately. Another crucial part of systemizing operations is automating your stock replenishment. One of the things I implemented in my cafe was setting up recurrent deliveries or standing orders for sundries and stock. This means you don't have to constantly monitor what's running low or remember to place orders. It's done for you on a schedule. For example, if you know that you go through a certain amount of coffee beans every week, set up an automatic delivery with your supplier. You can adjust the quantities based on demand, but having that regular order in place removes one more thing from your to-do list. This also applies to other essentials like milk, cups, or cleaning supplies. Automating these deliveries means you're never caught off guard by low stock, and it frees up more for you to focus on other areas of the business. The power of systemizing and delegation. Now that we've talked about communication, inventory, and staff management, let's look at how these systems allow for better delegation. One of the biggest pain points for business owners is to feel like they have to do everything themselves because no one else can do it right. But the truth is, when you have the right systems in place, delegation becomes easy. By using tools like WhatsApp for communication, Lightspeed for inventory, and SumUp or Square for staff hours and payments, your team has access to all the information they need to keep the cafe running smoothly. This allows you to step back and focus on the bigger picture, like growing the business, planning new offerings, or even taking a well-deserved break. Delegation isn't about handing over tasks and hoping for the best. It's about giving your staff the right tools and systems so they can do their job effectively without needing constant guidance. Finally, remember that no system is set in stone. As your business grows and evolves, so too should your systems. Regularly review your processes to see what's working and what's not. Maybe you'll find out that your inventory system needs tweaking, or perhaps your communication platform needs upgrading. The key is to stay adaptable. Keep an open line of communication with your staff and ask for their feedback. They're the ones using these systems day to day, so they'll have valuable insights on what could be improved. Systemizing your operations isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of refinement and optimization. But once you've got the core system in place, you'll find that your business runs more smoothly. Your staff are more empowered, and you, as the owner, have more freedom. Systemizing your cafe's operations might sound daunting, but trust me, the payoff is huge. It's about freeing up your time, reducing stress, and creating a business that runs like a well-oiled machine. From internal communication via WhatsApp to inventory management with tools like Lightspeed and staff management through SumUp or Square, the systems you put in place today will save you countless hours tomorrow. And the best part, you'll be able to step away from the day-to-day grind and focus on the bigger picture. So start small. Pick one area to systemize this week, and you'll quickly see the positive impact it has on your business and your life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next module where we'll dive into maximizing efficiency through training and development. When it comes to running a cafe, one of the most challenging but crucial aspects is managing your finances and ensuring profitability. It's no secret that a lot of businesses, especially in the hospitality industry, struggle to stay afloat. Not because they don't have a great product or loyal customers, but because their financial management isn't as strong as it could be. But here's the good news. With the right financial strategies in place, you can turn your cafe into a profitable venture and ensure long-term success. In this module, we're going to cover key areas like controlling your costs, tracking your profits, and most importantly, using financial incentives like profit sharing or bonus schemes to motivate your staff. A motivated, engaged team can make all the difference in your business's profitability, and we'll dive deep into how to implement financial rewards that benefit both your team and your bottom line. Let's start with the basics. Understanding your costs. If you don't have a clear handle on what it costs to run your cafe day to day, it's almost impossible to manage your finances effectively. You need to break down your costs into two categories: fixed costs and variable costs. Fixed costs are things like rent, utilities, and insurance. Expenses that stay the same each month, no matter how much you sell. Variable costs, on the other hand, are things that fluctuate, like the cost of coffee beans, milk, food supplies, and wages. As your sales increase, so do your variable costs. Once you know your costs, it's time to calculate your margins. Your gross profit margin is the difference between what you sell an item for and what it costs you to make or serve it. Keeping track of these numbers is essential because it tells you how much you're actually making after covering your basic expenses. But beyond knowing your costs, you need to actively work on keeping them in check. Are you over ordering stock and letting food or supplies go to waste? Are you using premium ingredients where a lower cost option might suffice? Being conscious of these decisions can significantly impact your profitability. To run a profitable cafe, you need clear financial goals. How much do you want to make each month? What percentage of your revenue should go towards staff wages, stock, and other expenses? Setting these targets allows you to measure success and make necessary adjustments along the way. For example, if you notice that your labor costs are eating into your profits, it might be time to reevaluate your scheduling or even your staff structure. Similarly, if your profit margins on certain menu items are too low, you might need to rethink your pricing or portion sizes. Financial goals aren't just about making as much money as possible. They're about creating a sustainable business model that ensures long-term growth. And remember, profitability doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of constantly refining, tweaking, and improving how your cafe runs. Now, let's talk about one of the most effective ways to drive profitability: getting your team invested in the success of the business through profit sharing or bonus schemes. Here's the thing: if your staff feel like they're just clocking in and out without any real stake in the business, it's unlikely that they'll go above and beyond to help it grow. But when they know that their hard work can lead to financial rewards, they'll have a greater incentive to perform at their best. Profit sharing is exactly what it sounds like: sharing a portion of your cafe's profits with your staff. This could be structured as a quarterly or annual bonus, where a percentage of your net profits are distributed among the team. The more successful the cafe, the more they earn. This creates a win-win situation. Your staff are motivated to help the business grow, and you benefit from their increased productivity. Alternatively, you can implement a performance-based bonus scheme. This could be tied to specific targets, such as hitting a certain sales figure, reducing wastage, or improving customer satisfaction scores. When these targets are met, staff receive a bonus, which again incentivizes them to push for better results. How to structure profit sharing and bonus schemes. Let's get practical. How you actually implement profit sharing or a bonus scheme. The key is to structure it in a way that's transparent and fair. Profit sharing, I recommend deciding on a set percentage of your net profits that will go towards staff bonuses. For example, you could allocate 10% of your quarterly profits to be divided among the team based on factors like hours worked or role within the business. This ensures that everyone benefits fairly according to their contribution. For performance-based bonuses, the key is to set clear, measurable targets. Let's say you want to increase sales by 10% over the next 3 months. If the team hits that target, target, they get a bonus. Or maybe you want to reduce wastage by 20%. If they manage to achieve that, they earn a reward. The beauty of these schemes is that they align your staff's goals with the cafe's overall success. When they have a direct financial stake in the business's performance, they're much more likely to contribute ideas, work harder, and take ownership of their roles. Managing your finances and tracking profitability doesn't have to be complicated, especially with the right technology in place. Earlier, I mentioned software like SumUp and Square as point of sale systems. These platforms don't just handle payments. They also give you detailed reports on your sales, average transaction sizes, and peak times. This data is invaluable when it comes to managing your finances effectively. You can see exactly where your revenue is coming from and which products are driving the most profit. Beyond your point of sale, using accounting software like QuickBooks or Xero can help you keep track of expenses, generate profit and loss statements, and manage payroll. With these tools, you can automate much of your financial management and free up time to focus on your business. One thing that many businesses owners overlook is involving their staff in financial conversations. I'm not saying you need to share all the details of your profit margins or overheads, but it's important to communicate how their performance impacts the financial health of the business. For example, if your team understands that reducing waste directly increases profits, which could then lead to bigger bonuses, they'll be more mindful of things like over-ordering stock or letting ingredients spoil. Similarly, if they know that upselling higher margin items boosts the cafe's profitability, they'll be more motivated to do so. Engaging your team in these conversations not only helps them understand the bigger picture, but it also fosters a culture of shared responsibility for the cafe's success. Financial management can seem like a daunting part of running a cafe, but it's one of the most powerful tools you have for driving growth and profitability. By understanding your costs, setting clear financial goals, and incentivizing your staff through profit sharing or bonuses, you're creating a business that's not only profitable but also sustainable in the long run. Remember, it's not just about squeezing as much profit as possible. It's about creating a system where everyone benefits. Your team is happier, more engaged, and more motivated, and you as the business owner have a clear path to financial success. Thanks for listening, and in our next module we'll cover out how to use customer feedback and loyalty programs to boost sales and retention. You've made it to the final module, and by now you should have a solid foundation of systems and processes that will give you the time and freedom you need to back up from the day-to-day grind of running your cafe. But the journey doesn't end here. This is where you take everything we've covered, hiring the right team, systemizing operations, managing finances, and use it to elevate your business to the next level. You've built the framework. Now it's time to focus on working on the business. Not just in it, but on it. This shift in mindset is critical to achieving true sustainable growth. In this module, we'll talk about refining your systems, keeping an eye on the bigger picture, and transitioning into a more strategic role that allows you to plan for the future. It's easy to feel a sense of relief once you've put systems in place and things seem to be running smoothly. But here's the reality. Things are always changing, both inside your business and in the wider market. Customer preferences shift, technology evolves, and even your staff will have different needs over time. That's why it's so important to constantly refine and improve your systems. What worked last year might not work as effectively this year. And if you don't stay on top of these changes, you risk falling behind. For example, take your POS system. Maybe you've implemented SumUp or Square to track sales and wages. But as your business grows, you might find that you need more advanced reporting features or integration with other software like inventory management tools. Always be open to upgrading your tools and processes to keep pace with the demands of your business. The same goes for your team. As your staff become more experienced, they may outgrow their current roles, or you may identify new gaps that need to be filled. Regularly review your team's performance and look for ways to upskill or adjust responsibilities so that your cafe continues to operate at its best. Now that your cafe is running efficiently, it's time to shift your focus to strategic growth. This means thinking beyond the immediate needs of the business and planning for its long-term success. Ask yourself, what do you want your cafe to look like in 2, 5, or 10 years? Do you want to expand to multiple locations, launch a new product line, partner with other businesses to reach a broader audience? Growth doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of careful planning and execution, and it starts with setting clear, measurable goals. Maybe you want to increase sales by 20% over the next year, or open a second location by the end of next year. Whatever your goals, they need to be specific and achievable. But here's the key. Growth isn't about making more money or opening more locations. It's about scaling your systems in a way that ensures consistency and quality. You don't want to compromise on the things that made your cafe successful in the first place. Transitioning from working in your business to working on it requires a strategic mindset. As the owner, you're no longer just managing day-to-day operations. You're the visionary who steers the business toward future opportunities and growth. You might find that it is difficult to transition. It's natural to feel attached to the work you've been doing for so long. But remember, your goal is to build a business that thrives even when you're not there. That's the true mark of success. This doesn't mean you should completely remove yourself from the business, but you need to stay connected. But your role is more about overseeing, guiding, and making high-level decisions rather than managing the day-to-day details. As you begin to shift your focus on growth, one area to explore is strategic partnerships. Whether it's collaborating with other local businesses, partnering with suppliers for better deals, or exploring new revenue streams, partnerships can be a great way to scale your business without overextending yourself. For example, you might team up with a local bakery to offer co-branded products, or you could collaborate with a specialty coffee roaster to host workshops or events. These partnerships not only bring in additional revenue, but also help you to tap into new customer bases and expand your brand's reach. Additionally, keep an eye on industry trends. Maybe there's a new coffee brewing method gaining popularity, or customers are showing growing interest in eco-friendly packaging. Stay ahead of these trends and look for ways to incorporate them into your business. By staying innovative, you keep your cafe relevant and appealing to customers. As you look to grow, one of the biggest challenges is maintaining the systems you've worked so hard to put in place. This is where scaling your operations becomes critical. Your existing systems might work perfectly for one location, but what happens when you expand? You need to ensure that these processes can handle increased demand without sacrificing quality. For example, as you grow, you might find that managing inventory becomes more complex. This is where digital platforms can make a huge difference. As we discussed in the previous module, having tools that manage stock levels, monitor sales trends, and help with order tracking is essential. But scaling also means taking your staff systems to the next level. You might have started with a simple WhatsApp group for emergency communications, but as you expand, you'll need more formal methods of team communication and performance management. Consider using tools like Trello or Slack to keep your growing team organized and on track. The same goes for financial management. As your business grows, you'll need to track more data and manage more complex reports. Using more advanced versions of accounting software like Xero or QuickBooks can help you stay on top of this. Finally, it's important to remember that no system is perfect. There will always be room for improvement, and that's okay. The key to long-term success is staying flexible and being willing to adapt. Reviewing your systems regularly, listen to feedback from your staff and customers, and always be on the lookout for ways to improve. For example, maybe your inventory system is working great, but your customer retention isn't where you want it to be. This might be an opportunity to implement a loyalty program or improve your customer experience. Whatever the case, always keep refining. One thing I've learned from running a cafe for 10 years is that there's always something new to learn. The moment you stop looking for ways to improve is the moment your business stops growing. So as we wrap up this final module, I want to leave you with this thought. You've already done the hardest part. You've built a successful cafe from the ground up. Now it's time to step into the next phase of your journey and think strategically about growth. Working on your business rather than in your business isn't about leaving day-to-day operations behind. It's about building a sustainable, scalable business that can grow without you being involved in every little detail. This shift is what will truly give you freedom to focus on the things that matter most to you. And remember, strategic growth isn't a one time event. It's an ongoing process of refining, improving, and adapting. Stay engaged, stay curious, and keep looking for opportunities to take your cafe to new heights. Thank you for joining me in this course. I hope you feel equipped and inspired to take your cafe and your career to the next level. Now you go out there and start working on your business, not just in it, and watch as it flourishes. Thank you.